The views expressed in this video presentation are my opinions and not necessarily the opinions of guests and others sharing or reposting this video. The content is produced only for educational and informational purposes. Do not regard any statements in this video as a recommendation to buy or sell any financial instrument. Investing comes with risk to loss of principal. Always conduct your own research and seek guidance from a professional investment advisor. I am not a professional investment advisor. I'm Dollar Will. I'm a trader. Let's get this money. Let's talk a little bit about marijuana, cannabis, weed, Mary Jane, whatever you call it. If you're not part of this trade and you just smoking it, you the real dope. You the real dope. Don't be a real dope. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the sector it's in. I'm gonna make this real quick because I got trading to jump back to. It's not that many people rolling through, and I'm gonna go on and get it. What's happening? I worry. I'm gonna get to it, leave it up, walk off, and get back to my day trading. All right. Um, money, money's here. All right, all right, brother. I worry about that money. Trying to get it. All right. So we got here on Bar Chart, one of my favorite sites. It's probably my most favorite site because I can do everything pretty much I need. Most everything. Uh, I don't trade using this, but in turn, I do a lot of research using this site. And uh, y'all got to ignore those pings. Okay, I got text messages. I got price alerts, all kinds of things, and I can't be disconnected from them price alerts, y'all. I'm a real trader. I will walk off from this YouTube to make some real money, because y'all ain't hitting that like, y'all ain't hitting that subscribe enough. Y'all see I'm still hovering, ain't at no 1,000. So, I break for real money. All right. So we see that the this is canopy growth we're looking at. The market cap leader is actually Tilray, but I like this particular chart that got my attention. That's really the cause of the video today. We see that medicinal marijuana, it's in the medicinal chemicals and botanical products, medical products sector, okay, or industry grouping, put it that way. Um, Now, this site, I'm not going to get into Elliott wave theory and stuff. That's for the Patreon. But this structure here, the way the price moved in this structure here, and the way the price moved in this structure here is very. Let's say it's revelatory. Okay, let's say that it's 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 telling us that the bottom is quite possibly here. Um, I feel real good about this one here. I didn't expect, honestly, when we were up here, I didn't expect this blowout here. I thought we would stop here, but this was the fact that it did this big move. It's actually created an environment in terms of the wave count that projects for a much bigger move. So we're talking about going significantly above this. Significantly above this. Okay. So I'm happy about getting into CGC like right about now. Um it's gonna have some squiggles and minor pullbacks. Mm, in my view, I'm not a hodler, but this one I would say is hodl approved up until around in the area of around 80, 81, 80, $81, somewhere around in there. Somewhere up in there. And that's a pretty big run from where we are right now at $2.83. I think that was the close yesterday. Let me peek a little bit in the space. Um, Then I'm gonna get to the chart. No, I'll be up out of here. Okay. So these are some other similar companies. So stocks move like they tend to move up and down with their industry peers. Okay. So it's really not individual stocks. Money goes from sector to sector and to industries within those sectors more than it goes from stock to stock. Okay, so how an industry is performing, or how the market feels about an industry, is more important, far more important than how the market feels about a company. Okay, all right. So we got some. Let me see the get to the technical. All right, this is what I want to look at. This relative strength that tells you basically the ones that have been beaten down, at least at this part of the cycle, the ones that have like crawling in the dirt. And I didn't look at this yet. This is like first with all of y'all. So I'm gonna be looking at these a little more. Anything closer to 20. 20 is like really in the dirt. So I'm gonna check these out. I wonder what happened to Hexo. Why didn't they put Hexo on this list? Maybe they have Hexo in a different group or something else. That's interesting. All right, I'm gonna check this out. Let's see. For you penny stock lovers. Okay, Hexo is down here with Aurora. And Hexo's not on this list, but it's down here in the price area, crawling in the dirt, crawling out, getting it out the mud, like Aurora. It's for you penny folks. And I'm gonna check these out maybe another time, or maybe today. Now y'all got me. I should have done this beforehand. Now my mind is just free flowing. I'm curious as to why Hexo is not in this list. Okay, Hexo. They don't even say what it's grouped with. Interesting profile. Because I was just looking at this chart. Hexo is a consumer packaged goods cannabis company that creates and distributes products to serve the global cannabis market. Hexo Corp is based in Quebec. I don't know how to say that. Was it Gatineau? Don't know. Never heard of it. Why aren't they grouped? Must be an error with bar charts. I'm gonna have to send them a little email about that. What's the price? 17 cents. That's really in the dirt. Let me go back to where I was, and I'll get this chart going and get out of here. But I'm definitely sidetracked because this is getting my interest up. I like the shape of this decline. I like that. The look of that. We like to get it out the mud. We like to get it like when it's beaten down and nobody's talking about it, which is what's going on right now. It's rightfully so. It's on the destruction in the major indexes, okay? But I'm trying to make the point that even when the market is going down, there are other opportunities. It's just not in the usual places that was garnering all the headlines. Everybody's mind is on coming out of tech stocks and all that stuff. So but we go deep. We go deep in this kind of stuff, looking at the doing sector analysis, industry analysis, that kind of stuff. We get into that kind of stuff on the weekends on my Patreon. Okay. So market cap, the biggest, is Tilray. Market cap means when a company is said to be the market cap leader, that means that company has attracted more money into its stock. There's more money spent in the market. There's more money invested in that company's stock than any other uh, company like in this industry group. So when you say like a company's a market cap leader, it means that it's it's the it's the it's the company that the stock buying public considers the most in demand. Okay, it has the greatest demand because it has attracted the most raw dollars. And if you converted all of the money that the public has spent to buy its shares, the one that uh, has raised the most money from the company perspective um, is considered the market cap leader. That's what that is. All right. All right. Let me see one more thing. Then I'll get to the charts. I keep saying that, but I'm getting like more and more interested in this stuff as I look at them, see if they have any news. They had a news link. No, news and headlines. Let's see what's up with Tilray recently became the market cap leader. Okay, but through the years, for the last several years, CGC, Canopy Growth Corp. So most people, if you're not looking at the charts, people will assume that this is the market cap leader. This is the name that most of us know. But that's why I look at this. Well, why? Okay, so they got Aurora. That's the penny one that was at the bottom. Cannabis. I'm sorry, Canopy Growth. That's CGC, the one I'm saying alike. And this is the market cap leader. So they got the two giants, CGC, Cannabis, Canopy Growth, and Tilray, and then the penny stock, Aurora, and they say why all those three bounce back Monday, and I did not read this article. Now this is from the fundamental perspective. Okay, let me just say right out front, we technical purists traders don't think like this. We think it bounced back just because it fell to a value level where the market fell to a level where the market perceived it as valuable, period. Okay, and so the fact that something else happened in the news that day, okay, that it reached a technical bottom, is coincidental. Believe me, people are not large numbers of buyers are absolutely not watching these news headlines. Don't care. Don't care. The primary thing we care about is the opinion of other traders. We care more about the opinions of other traders than anybody else. Opinions meaning in the form of stock purchases and stocks being purchased or shares being purchased and shares being sold. Period. We look at the chart and we see that there's a tsunami of interest or a tsunami of disinterest, and that's really all we care about. Okay, we assume that we'll never know what's in the minds of um, the board, the CEO, and the executives of the company. All that fundamental data that people are looking at, they think is so primary. Um, it's several months old. Price is truth. Price is what's happening now, today. Okay. Every day, the market has to reconcile its opinion of the company or the stock with the current price and make a decision. Is that a bargain price or not? Do I think it's going up higher or not? And then we look at that, see what the market says, and we look at the volume of people or the volume of shares being traded um, at that price, and that tells us what the real deal is. Because if you don't have skin in the game, money in the market, your opinion really doesn't matter. The only opinions that matter, the only opinions that matter are the opinions of those people putting money on it. And the way you tell what they think, it's not by listening to what they say, it's by watching what they do collectively, and how they respond to certain price levels on the chart. That's the bottom line. How much you pay for them shoes, straight up. That tells us what you think of those shoes. We don't need to hear your story. You bought those shoes. You didn't buy the ones at $500. You left those. You didn't buy those. You know. All right. Now, all of that said, this is what the fundamental folks say. I only like to know what they think so that I can punish them. Because a lot of times they're wrong a whole lot, but it's just nice to know what they think. Got hammered along with the rest of the growth stocks last week with Canopy Growth, for example, losing 10% for the week, nearly twice as much as the rest of the NASDAQ. Tilray dropping 15%. And oh, good, I love it. So when they say losing nearly twice as much as the rest of the NASDAQ, that sounds like capitulation. So that means when people just get totally frustrated and they just throw in the towel and they're like, I'm out of this. Get me out of this crap. That's like exactly the point when you're looking to get back in. And that got to marry that with certain technical, certain chart setups, certain momentum levels, and you're looking for a price bottom where a low was put in and the price rose up, fell back down, and didn't take out that low. And so we're going to talk about that. Okay, Aurora Cannabis getting smoked for 16% loss as the new week gets underway. However, these marijuana stocks are lighting back up. Yes, they are. Okay, so what? Why are marijuana stocks in the green today? That's actually an excellent question. According to they got a referendum. Okay, all right, interesting. Okay, so that's what the fundamental folks are going to they're going to say in their mind, or the people that trade on the fundamentals, they're going to say, oh, okay, people are buying it because of legislation. Okay. Okay, all right. Cory Booker, African American, that a majority of Americans on both sides of the aisle in support of legalization. Okay, go for it. Right. Okay. All right. That's it. Let me look here. And Real Deal Financial. Okay, what's happening, bro? All right. I got two people. Wow. Two. Oh, this is so funny. It's so funny because it's like real money here. And folks would rather do other stuff, but that's fine. Their loss is our gain. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's go back to. I'm gonna go to a daily chart of. Let me go deal with a monthly. Just see it that way. Make it easier to see. I'm gonna go on log scale for a moment. So we got a real nasty ABC correction, which is what we kind of look for as a common correction structure, price structure. Human beings are pack animals. It's something. It's there's certain moves or patterns the price will make that reflects our mass psychology, and it happens over and over again. It's phenomenal. We don't know why our sociology, our pack behavior creates these patterns in the price movements of stocks, but it does. Okay. And I know it sounds weird, sounds, spooky, crazy, and all of that. I know. But until you study it, you that's when you'll understand, okay, there's something to this. There's a whole lot to this, and you'll see it happen over and over. Okay. And then you'll go, oh, okay, I can't doubt it. Once you see it a number of times, you can't doubt it anymore. Okay, so this is a weekly chart with Tilray. We got this big red candle here into this week. Let's see this bottom. I'm going to go to CGC, but I'm going to finish this, but I'm not that uh, excited about the way this chart looks. I'm much more. I like it, but I love the CGC one. Okay, and so and I'm looking at. I'm thinking of regarding the CGC chart is sort of like a warning. A dog whistle, a canary in the coal mine, a warning for like what the sector is soon to do. So, because CGC is a big one as well as Tilray. But on this particular chart, the low last week was 265 and this is 267. So the low, we're on a weekly chart and each candle represents a week. Okay, so the low last week was 265 and the low this week, which would be today, is 267. So far it held. Let me go to a daily, and this is the action today. So we took out the candle from Friday, um which is bullish. That's very bullish. Now, ideally, I'll feel better about it once we get past this shaded area that I have here, because this was a floor at one point, and then we crashed through it. It would also be an additional sign of strength for the market to change their mind about the value of Tilray. The market did not think it was worth $3.13, just last week, okay? Early at the beginning, this time last week, and it slammed it down. I would like to see the price go through this shaded area and go higher than this 351. Okay. So that's what I need to give it like a ringing endorsement. Okay. But let me, now with that said, I want to move on to, and you see this trend line here that I have. It's been price has been honoring that since, what is this, June of 2021. So breaking this trend line would not be a minor thing. Okay, that would be a huge technical flag. Okay, that would get a lot of technical traders' attention right there. If this trend line, this resistance, we call it, that was respected for over a year, that the strength uh, uh, entered the market for Tilray and cause that line to be violated. And especially if we also go above this high from earlier this month. Okay. Because that will begin or could set the scenario for these red candles we see on here to mostly turn green. And we start making bigger green candles going up as opposed to all these red candles going down. The first thing that has to happen is break this. But this move right here for my Elliott Wave theory traders, that should look familiar to you. That should encourage you as well. Okay. You look at that move and you combine that move with this candle, which went higher, and you should have a certain amount of enthusiasm too. Okay. Momentum looks pretty strong, especially if I look at it from the perspective of looking at from this price low, this momentum area, to now just looking at all of this information from this low here, or I'll say from June 13th of this year to now, the momentum looks to have established a floor, a bottom, and it's trending at least sideways. It's no longer going down. I could say that. So prices only go price and momentum and all that. It only goes up, down, and sideways. Those are the only three things it can do. It can go up, it can go down, it can go sideways. And so sideways is better than down. All right. Doesn't mean it's absolutely going to go up, but at least it's not down anymore. So you take that bit of information, combine it with other information, and then you get to paint a picture or decode or decipher the sentiment behind the price. Behind the price, all these squiggles you see on screen. Now let's get to the star of the story. And say after I just said all that, what I just said, but this is the one that's made me say, I want to do a video. This low right here. Let me see if I can go. Okay, it makes it real plain. Okay, my Patreon members, this structure should look familiar to you. That should mean something to you. And way back once upon a time, I'm going to put two lines here. I'm going to put one here in the body of that candle, and I'm going to put another one at the bottom of this wick, which is the absolute low, which was established in August of 2015. Okay. So on this monthly chart, or since the inception, since Tilray, since CGC came out, the low was $1.01 in August of 2015. So we're talking 7 years ago. And in that time, it broke out. Here had a breakout and started really going higher. Right here. And that was in September of 2016. So that's 6 years ago. Okay, let me change the color of this horizontal, the breakout. Put it that way, the breakout line. That blue horizontal line is where the price broke out and went and made this high, or the all-time high of $59.29 in October of 2018. Now, a lot of us thought this was going to continue going higher, but it didn't. It failed. Now, once it failed and started coming down, technically that means something relative to this and gets us here. But the thing that's key is, get down here in the weeds so we can see this. I'm gonna blow this up down here at the bottom. Now this red line here at the bottom was the absolute all-time low. And this blue line was that breakout from the past. But the thing that has me, in addition to the overall shape of the decline and everything, what has me loving on this daggone CGC chart is the fact that right when we got to this area where it took off before in the past, I'm gonna go back and look at that too. We'll put one at this low. Let me make this black. We started showing strength. So the market has memory. The market remembers that it took off in this price area in the past. And the market responded when we got back down there. Market is saying, not this time. I'm going along with you. You're taking me with you this time. So the market stepped in, and this is a monthly chart. Every candle represents a month. And so in August, the price stopped the decline, the 4-month decline, and made a higher high. And then we had a pullback in this month, September, but we did not take out this low. And so let me go look at the weekly chart. Okay, this structure should be familiar to Patreon members. That's significant. And this low here is right in here where it took off. Okay, and this is a weekly chart. Every candle represents a week. If I go down to a lower time frame, we'll see that this is a trend line that we broke, which is also bullish. So I'm looking at this stuff I'm leaving out because I'm, that's for Patreon only. There's something there are rules about this particular structure here. There are rules about this particular structure here. There are rules about what's going on here with this momentum oscillator and this one too. And this is a picture of strength. But in short, just to make it plain for, just common folk, the market seemed to have stopped the price from making a lower low. Uptrends make higher highs and higher lows, just like this. It went up, came down, went up, came down. But this high was higher than that. This low was higher than this and this and this. And then when we had what we call this a correction, this low held. So if this is a high and if this is a low and this is a high and this is a higher low, then logic dictates that we would most likely, probability dictates that we're likely to make, most probable, that we're going to make a higher high. Then it gets into some other stuff about how high it's going to go and all that. Now, that's for the Patreon. But I believe, in my opinion, and I'll feel even better about it once, my opinion per Elliott Wave theory, let me put it that way, that the violation of this trend line is a very important, but possibly first signal to the fact that we're at the beginning of a new trend, that reversal, that this down move that we've been experiencing from this high is the beginning of we're watching an end. We're witnessing the end of this down move and the beginning of a up move, which will go significantly above. It's not, or is it the monthly? Here, significantly above here. Significantly above here. So the beginning of the trend. If this low holds, the lowest point on the screen, if this low from July 14th holds, then we're looking at the beginning of a very long, very powerful trend. In fact, if I was to buy this right now, remember, I am just somebody on YouTube telling my opinion. Please do not take the advice or buy something because I or anyone on YouTube says so. Learn technical analysis for yourself. Okay. Now, if I was to buy this right now, I would put a stop loss in, like a penny below this low. Just because if the price was to drop lower than this, I'm out. I wouldn't care about it. I wouldn't want anything to do with it. I'd walk away. I'd run away. And I would watch it to see if the price survived this low. But for now, I think this is a complete structure per Elliott Wave theory. And I would feel comfortable buying this now, going along this and putting a stop loss here. So if I'm wrong, I'll only lose, from here to here. That's it. And I would get in this with the intention to hold it for a good while. Let me go back to the monthly. Let me see. This high is 59. Honestly, yeah, closer to 60, about 60, almost 60. I know I said 81 because I was looking at a different price. On a There's one of these charts that had the price at 50, or the high was for Old Howard. Maybe I'm confusing it with Tilray. But this thing can run. This thing can get up north of $150, I think. So I would not. My intention, if I was buying this right now, my view would be to hold this thing to it get. It would have to. It would have to exceed this, and the next level is likely around 150, 160, somewhere in that area. I would be expecting. That would be my mindset. Now, as a technical trader, that's just saying that projection is just to get my psychology around what the likely uh, profit is, what the possible, let me say that, the possible and probable, target profit amount is. Now, exactly when I would get out, it would depend on moves the price actually makes. So don't get confused about us when we make technical trades, when we make these forecasts, we're still looking at the price. And so there's certain psychological technical levels that the price will go above a certain amount, a certain extension above a prior high, that the mass psychology of people just seems to make the price go. And so I did that math in my head. Okay, that's all that is, and that's where I'm getting that number from. Now, with that said, I still have to look at what the price actually does and how it moves, because those swings matter. These swings down and these swings up matter. There's a math and geometry to price forecasts. Let me put it that way. Price projections. Okay, so a lot of people think that the price movement is random. It's not, because you don't understand it. Don't people say that because they don't understand it, they say it's random. No, it's not. On the other hand, if you accept that it's not random, you give yourself an opportunity to see and learn the cycles and these repetitive kind of structures that price does. We call that price action. Okay, so and it's a big field. A lot of people have been contributing to this over 100 years. Okay, so it's a lot of information out there. Technical analysis is a broad category. Not every one of us is trading the same. Let's say that we belong to the same school of thought. We don't. There are many, many versions. And the more you learn, or as you learn, you will learn that most of these ideologies or schools of thought under the umbrella of technical analysis, these ideas fit well together. So I've been through a lot of different schools of thought in my technical analysis journey, which started before this was 2000. I would say just before that high in 2007 and 8 in oil. Just before that, maybe about a year or two before that, was when I really started on my journey with technical analysis, and when I left the fundamental analysis camp. I went through several years of frustration where I just stopped trading altogether. So I didn't just go from one to the other. I was really pissed. There's no other way to say it. I lost a whole lot of money messing with fundamental analysis during the .com bubble burst. When I'm watching Kramer, I'm reading, you know, Time and Newsweek and Wall Street Journal and you name it. I'm watching CNBC all day. I'm doing all this. I'm listening to earnings reports, not just reading them. I'm tuned in, listening to the live stream. Of the at that back in that day, you had to call in. So they had like telephone number. You call in and you can hear it over the phone. So I'm hearing all that, taking in all that information, and nothing about fundamental analysis told me to get out the market. Nothing. And all the big headed, experts were saying, if you liked it at this price, you should love it at that price. I'm like, that's all crap. It really is all crap. Right. So it took me a while to make the transition. I got frustrated, and I guess I would have stayed at that state until I learned to ask the right question. I'm so grateful for that day that I asked that question. And that question was, or the questions were, who made money on that down move? And what did they know? What ideology do they subscribe to? And I did not know anything about technical analysis. I never heard the term. I thought that because those people on TV had degrees and suits and worked on Wall Street that they knew what they were talking about. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. Most of them do not. Most of them just had a lot of money to start with. That's one. Okay. That's the main thing. They had a lot of money to start with. And if you compare the results of fundamental style traders or investors to other fundamental style traders and investors, you can see why they pat themselves on the back. You can see that. But once I learned about technical analysis and I started to compare the results of people who trade that way, it's a tenfold difference. A technical trader is pissed if he makes 15% a year. He feels like a loser. He's in depression. He's probably going to lay on somebody's couch. But a fundamental investor, they high-fiving each other because they made 15% in a year. So it was in the question. Once I asked that question and I started Googling who made money in the downturn from 2007 to 2009. I'm sorry. No, the .com was 2000. Okay, so yeah, so I was Googling about that. So then I got my answers, and then that prepared me to negotiate the decline from 2007 to 2009 a whole lot better. So I found my way to this site called Wall Street Survivor. It still exists today, but it's a very different site now. They changed their mission. Okay, back then they were a paper trading site, and they had fundamental style traders and technical style traders. And when you signed up, and I think they had real money as a prize. And when you signed up, you had to declare whether you were a technical trader or a fundamental trader. Me not knowing anything about technical analysis, I said I'm a fundamental trader, and so this was way back in. It was in the 2000s, and the people, like, maybe no, maybe it was around the mid 2000s, 2004 or 5, somewhere in there. 2000, yeah, somewhere around 2005 to 2007, somewhere in there. That's when it was. And you had to declare whether you're a technical trader or a fundamental trader, and they had a buddy list, like you can friend people on Facebook and all that. Facebook didn't even exist. I don't think it existed at that time. But you could friend people, and they had it was sort of it was all text based, so you could read what strategies people were using, and you can ask them questions. And they had a leaderboard of fundamental style traders, so you can see who's the best, and a leaderboard for who the best technical traders were. And I saw with my own eyes the fundamental. And these people, would they worked at places like J.P. Morgan and Merrill Lynch and all these, big name play Goldman Sachs. These were real professional traders. They would use that site to experiment with different strategies and things. That's what they said they were there for. And so there were pros in the house, and I was trying to soak up game. I was ear hustling, and so I sent the text to. Oh, I saw on the leaderboard that the fundamental traders, they had gains like 15%, a few maybe 20%, but the technical traders had gains like 1,000%. I'm like, whoa. Whoa, what the hell do they know? That blew my mind. I'm like, what the hell do they know? I want some of that. And so I had never seen anything like that. And there were large numbers of people getting gains like that. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I want to hang out with those folks. I want a little bit of what they know. And so I start asking questions. How did you know to buy that? Why did you know? Who said this? What told you to buy it there? And they were like, Google price action. Google, I just used price action. I said, what's price action? They said, Google it. They said Google technical analysis. They were being kind. They were kind of basically kind of saying like, go away, just like Google this and come back. Leave me alone. But here, take this and run. Be gone. They were kind of shooing me off. And when I Googled technical analysis, it just opened up a whole world. And then I started Googling who practices famous traders, best traders that practice technical analysis. And so I entered that, and I started coming up with some names of people I see on TV, and then I started looking into what I researched what were they recommending during the .com bubble. What were they talking about in those chats? What was their commentary like? What was their sentiment while the market was tanking and they were dead on it? They were not telling people to buy on the dip. All the stuff they were saying to do turned out to be the right stuff to do. And I said, I got to rock with them. I got to rock with them. And the rest is history. But I have to say the biggest mistake I made was not getting a mentor. I tried to teach myself, and I spent a lot of years, and then I got to a point where I kind of knew too much. I knew enough where most of these courses wasn't going to teach me enough because I'd already figured it out. But I spent years trying to figure it out. That was a big mistake. I was making $100,000 back in the damn 90s when I was too cheap to spend $1,500. Most of the courses were between $1,000 and $2,500. That most, and there were some good ones, even at $500. And I was too damn cheap to spend that money, and I wasted time and lost much more money trying to learn this myself. So, you know, if you join my Patreon, I would appreciate it. But I would appreciate it if you join anybody's group. Join somebody's group. Learn technical analysis. This correction that you see going on in the stock market. This is the correction of the century. This is the biggest correction since the Great Depression. and the degree of the decline is going to be similar to the Great Depression. This would be the greatest financial catastrophe of your life and your grandfather's life. Nobody alive has experienced anything like this. Everybody that was alive and trading during the Great Depression is dead. There's nobody that knows what that's like. Nobody has seen anything like this. Not in America. Okay? So you have to be studying technical analysis to be in tune with those historical cycles. Um, because when you're in tune with those cycles, you recognize the similarities, the parallels between what's going on now and what's going on then. The particular technical analysis camp I'm in is called Elliott Wave Theory. And Elliott Wave Theory, it lives in that arena of studying historic cycles. And we go back several hundred years. We don't just look at last year and 5 years ago. No, no, no. We go back 100 years ago and come all the way to now. And we can show you that cycle repeat over and over and over. Okay. So, get you a mentor, hang out with them, plan to stay there for a year or two. Why a year or two? Because these cycles take a long time and you need to see a good bit of it play out. You need to go, there's a psychological and emotional part of it. You as a trader have to go through. There are ups and downs you're going to go through. And you have to see how, you have to learn not just how the charts work, how the price moves on the chart. You have to learn how to manage your emotions and your anxiety, your greed, your fear. You have to learn what your tendencies are when you get stressed. How does that affect your trading? How does it affect your clarity to see what you're seeing in the charts? You got to learn all that about yourself. And so you got to go through that whole cycle. And then after you learn all that stuff about yourself and you collect all this data about how you trade in the past, you're going to have some information that says, okay, I'm real good at trading this part of the cycle, but not that part of the cycle. And once you learn that, then you can build a trading plan where you play to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. And that's it. I thank the 4 people that listen to this. I didn't expect to go this long. I started around 11:35 and it's 12:28, so about an hour. I think that's long enough. Let me get back into my day trade. What's happening, Mr. Fantastic? He said, "Oh, my mentorship fee is $10 a month. It's just too embarrassing to mention. It's $10 a month. There's no upsell. The training is group based and individual. It's up to the person. I have some people like Lionel on Crypto with Lionel when he first joined. He said, he picked a day. He said, I want every day I want this day every week. And we hit it hard and for over a year. Okay. That's it. Yeah, $10 a month. And then Iori, when he came, he said, "Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna give you a year to see if there's any truth to what you're saying." And we set a time, and if you keep your time, I'll be there, and they'll tell you, I'm there. I'm not canceling. I'm in there, but you got to do your part. You got to do the work I give you. You got to put into practice and all that. But that's all it is, and it's just like I said, there's no upsell. That's it. So right now, at this moment, is a good time because nobody is. We have a Saturday session that we do that like this one ran 3 hours. we go deep in it, and we look at I give them things to chart, and then we talk about it, and you get better that way. And also through the week, I'm putting up charts. It's it can be anything: the US dollar, the S&P 500, crypto stocks. I'm putting up charts of all kinds of stuff. And then we got another brother in there. Y'all know him as Matty Ghost. He's the penny stock champ. He's there. He puts up what he's doing during the week. And we just pass information like that. And so, and then some people, if you got people that's been there for several years, and we got people that's been there for several months. And so people are at different levels of awareness. And so some people want the more private individual based training, and we do that. I do that. And then but there's a stage even in the whether you soak up game from watching the group sessions that get reposted on Patreon, or you getting it one on one with me. No matter which way you go, there's a phase of it where you have to send me charts. You have to take snapshots of charts, and you have to label the charts per the rules of Elliott wave theory, and you have to send me those uh, snapshots of the labeled charts to my Patreon inbox, and then I give you feedback on your charting, and that's how you get it. And so you start to grow that way. And then what happens after that? People have to decide how they want to take this. You have to figure out whether you want to be a day trader or you want to be a swing trader. A swing trader can hold a stock from a couple of days to a couple of weeks, you know, or even a couple of months. But so you have to figure out whether you want to day trade or not to really break it down. But I teach everybody from the perspective of day trading, because the same cycle you see that might take a year or two to create, that same cycle plays out uh, on a 1 day chart, within say a 1 hour or maybe even a minute, so it's the same cycle playing out over and over again that you might be able to see on a chart over the span of say make it easy and say during 8 hours, or definitely within say 42 hours or 72 hours. You're going to see the whole wave cycle from beginning to end. And that's the cycle that repeats over and over across a week, across maybe a month or two, across years, decades, centuries. And so it's fractal. We call it fractal in nature. It's like you are a fractal of your father. Your father is a fractal of his father, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, you can't help but act like your father. In a certain sense, you are your father. The cycle just your father dies, you become the elder. So a wave cycle will complete and die in the form of a correction, and a new one is born, and that new cycle gonna look just like his daddy. Okay, over and over. So that pattern recognition skill, that's key to intelligence. In every IQ intelligence test you've taken has pattern recognition on it. And that's what trading is, recognizing that pattern. In that pattern, there are certain parts of that cycle where it's easier to make money. And as a day trader, or whether you're a day trader, you're just trading a smaller iteration of that cycle. If you're a swing trader, or more, if you want to call it long-term investor or whatever, I hate that term, because everything's a trade. Okay, you can trick yourself into justifying your mistakes by saying, it's an investment. No, take the L. You messed up. You didn't mean for that thing to lose money, except that you made a mistake. Everything's a trade. It doesn't matter whether you held it for a day or a year. Everything is a trade. Quit bullshitting. Okay, so that's first. All right. So whether when you figure out what type of trader you want to be, you're just trading that same cycle over and over. And so some people decide they want to do this day trading thing, and which I really think everybody should be striving to conquer that. Day trading is very hard. It really is. But once you get it, you are free. You are free. You pay on the Patreon. You go to Dollar Will. Will is with one L. Space between Dollar and Will. This is on Patreon. If you look in under the show more, click on show more. It's not under this video. Maybe when I stop it. Iori, can you, if you still there, can you post the link, the PayPal link, please, bro? I appreciate that. Um, what was I saying? I forgot what I'm saying. So yeah. I'm pushing everybody. Here's why day trading is important. Man, I needed somebody to teach me this stuff. I'm a full-time trader. When I was working my job, my six-figure job, that I grew to hate. I loved it, but after 25 years, I grew to hate it. Okay. Because I'm like, I think when I left, I was 47. I'm now 59. I'm approaching 59. Okay. I'll be 59 in the month of Aries, March. All right. So when I was working the job, trading was great because I didn't need the money that I was making trading. It was just all gravy. I mean, the money I was making on my job was more than I could spend. I was loving it. It was great. And so I'm like, well, let me just, as I was approaching 50 on that job, I couldn't accept that this is my life. That this pattern, this rut of going to work, doing this job that I'm really kind of outgrown. The technology changed. I was a recording engineer for a major 3-letter alphabet news company. Okay, and it was a dream for a good long while, but technology kind of gutted it. This social media stuff y'all doing, it changed the game. It kind of gutted it. It took it caused a lot of downsizing. It didn't affect me. I was very, very senior. It didn't affect me, but it changed the work that people did. You started doing other work that wasn't really originally your work, and other people started doing some of your work that wasn't originally their work, and it's work that used to take 4 or 5 people, now takes 2 people, and so it just changed. It just took the damn fun out of it, and then the quality of the work went down, and I'm like, well, what am I here for? So when the quality went down, I'm like, this you're gonna waste your life doing this. And I had so many thoughts on that. I listen to these big YouTube channels. It's funny because they're repeating like the growth process of media. You can hear how, I don't want to name the YouTubers, but there's some big YouTubers that are in desperate need of an editor. I mean an editorial editor, not just someone to edit the videos. Someone, they need an editor and a producer. They need someone to go over the copy that they're reading. They need someone to help them flesh these ideas out better. Throughout history, media products, whether it was a movie or a news show, documentary, or whatever, it was a collaborative effort by a team of people. It always was a team of people that made that host, anchor, reporter look like they were a genius. A whole room full of people contributed their intelligence to make that person look brilliant. Along comes social media. One person gets on in front of a mic and it's not the same. You see all the flaws. you go, okay, that person sat in a room alone and came up with that dumbass idea all by themselves. And there was nothing between them and the microphone and the people, and they put it out there. And there's so much of that going on. And I'm not picking on social media because that crap happens in media. So a whole lot of dumb stuff comes on TV that would have gotten weeded out before. And so it's frustrating when you work in there and you work during the apex of it, and you watching the thing burn, and you're like, and I'm contributing to it, and this is supposed to be my life until I die or retire. That's a terrifying thought. I said I can't do it. I had to save myself. I was SYS BM, okay, in the career realm. And with all the stuff that we talk about in the manosphere for when we talk about uh, the dating and all of that stuff. All of that stuff. So, given my age, I'm the age of many of your parents, and I tell you a lot of observations y'all making in the dating world. It was in their parents. If you're 30 years old or even 40 years old, a lot of the stuff you're seeing in women your age, those women, their mamas had it. Okay, they had it. This is not new. So when all of us graybeards, when we tell y'all it's the same thing. It's really nothing new going on right now. It's the same thing. It's that fractal nature of cycles I was talking about. Okay, their mama was that type of structure, and now the child is a new iteration of the mama. Okay, and so on and so on. And so, um, anyway, back to the trading thing. Day trading. See, I go on my little journeys, but the day trading thing will put money in your pocket on a regular, and so it's a good skill to have, but it is hard. It is hard. Swing trading, you'll get that. Swing trading is key because if you have a job, swing trading and the information about sector analysis, and which allows you to watch how money moves from one sector of the economy to another. Um, I've had my channel up since 2017. So all this stuff about the interest rate rising and all that, go back to my videos long ago. I was telling you way back then it was going to happen. All this stuff about the dollar rising. The reason why I call myself Dollar Will is because the US dollar, is the most important currency on planet Earth, and everything else its value is stated in relative terms to the US dollar. Okay, so if you understand what the dollar chart looks like, that puts you in a very strong position to understand what's happening in the world. And so that's where I was coming from way back then. And so the chart was telling me that the interest rate was going to rise. The dollar was going to have continue this wicked rise. And we know from past economic cycles that when the dollar rises, because if you look, the dollar was rising before the interest rate did. So if things don't work quite the way people think it does, the interest rate is going up because the dollar is in demand, period. The dollar is subject to supply and demand issues like everything else. When the dollar goes up, it stresses other currencies in the world. When those other currencies in the world start losing value, those, not just people, but those countries start trying to preserve their purchasing power, and they do that how? They buy the US dollar. So it gets to be very predictable what they're going to do. And so you saw, and then on those momentum oscillators and stuff, we could see momentum building, and then we could see momentum leaving those other currencies. So technical analysis is mathematical as F, okay? And it's very logical. And when you learn it, you're like, wow, you're going to get pissed. You're going to have red pill rage. You're going to be like, why didn't somebody tell me this? They can't tell you this because there must be a bottom. We live in a hierarchical world, not just America, not just American society. The world is hierarchical, and as far as we know, it's always been that way. So somebody must lose. Somebody must be the bottom. Somebody's got to be the slave. Now, we don't call ourselves slaves today. I mean, you're a debt slave, you're in debt bondage. It makes you feel better not to be called a slave, but if you really think about it, how free are you really? You know? How free are you really? What's up, Extended Clips? Check this out. You say dropping jewels, huh? Check this out. The slave master fed you, clothed you, gave you shelter. If you got sick, he lost money. If you dropped dead, he cared because he paid for you and you are generating revenue for him. Slavery ended. I'm not saying that we were better or whatever. I'm just showing the economic relationship between the rich or the richest of that day and the poorest, the step stool, the enslaved African. We, your slash our, presuming I'm talking to the black folks listening, our well-being, that the slave master's well-being was connected to our well-being. Okay. Now that we're, quote, air quotes, free, you're an employee. He don't buy you no health care in a lot of places. He don't care whether you drop dead or not, whether you have a home or you sleeping under a bridge. If you drop dead, he just get another employee. In fact, he don't even have to pay for the employee. You show up begging him for a job. Okay? Where before he had to pay for you. All right, I got just enough gray hair to remember back in the late 70s and early 80s, jobs used to have pensions. Okay, I graduated high school in '82, right around when Reagan came in. Companies started getting rid of those pensions, so the 401ks, that's when they came in. Okay, companies, because partly they got rid of it because partly some companies were stealing the money. Some companies was dipping into the damn pension money to fund current needs, which wasn't supposed to happen. So it was partly mismanagement, and in some cases, the companies just made bad investments. So and so even let's just look at from the side of they just honestly made bad investments. People started suing the company. And so companies, and the government was like banging on the companies, like, look, you promised these people the pension because the government knows that the corporations don't pay you the pension. You're going to show up asking the government for welfare. So the government's like, whoa, y'all going to have to get this right. So the backlash of that was companies said, we don't want to do pensions anymore. We'll give them a 401k. And what a 401k does is takes the onus off the corporation to manage the money. It puts the onus to manage the money on the worker. So we give the worker the power to control their own retirement funds, but we don't give them any education to do it. So that pension was a liability issue for the corporations. They didn't want to be sued. So that's what happened to the pensions. They said, we're going to get rid of this liability. And then, and at that time when there was pensions, it was common for companies to do on-the-job training. Then they sold America some bullshit that you have to have a college degree. No one did any research to say that a college degree was a bona fide requirement. It's just a requirement because the corporation said so. Period. All this stuff that requires a degree, companies used to train people for it on the job. So now the ex-slave has to sell himself to the banks in the form of a loan for a damn educational training that they should have gotten for free in public school. So now you arrive on the job, you get hired, you got this big debt to college, and then you got to take on this abuse from this job, which you got to have because you want to pay off the loan. See, I'm getting in the 10 for no, this is real stuff. This is my life. I live this. This is my life. I watched this change, and it's frustrating when you talk to people. I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general, you're gonna live this frustration as you age, as the past gets moves further back into the past, and the people think that the way it is now is the way it has always been, and it's the way it has to be. I would love for Americans to wake up and see that they've been sold down the river to these banks and make the corporations make them invest in the workers the way that we used to. Okay, because you're going to be working for them for decades. They should be training you. You should not arrive on the job with debt. And this college degree thing is dangerous. It takes a whole lot of people who are insecure and they feel secure when they get that piece of paper that they paid for. And the hardest thing now in 2022 is to tell most people, hey, you really didn't need that degree to do the work that you're doing. It really doesn't require a degree. Recently, the Office of Personnel Management said that they are going to not require a college degree because the college degree is not producing a qualified workforce. So the whole premise to requiring a college degree is that you're getting a better candidate. Well, the Human Resources Department of the federal government, which is what OPM, Office of Personnel Management, I believe that's what it is. That's what they're saying. They're saying that too many good candidates are being weeded out when we require a college degree. Some things need a college degree, but not every damn thing. We got people on my job. I don't have a college degree because fortunately I came up at that time where you could, here's that word, game, game. You could talk your way into a job. I could walk to a company, go to the front desk and ask to speak to the hiring manager. The hiring manager would actually come down from their office, come down, shake your hand, and you can converse with them right there. So you could talk your way into a job and you could hand them a resume. Well, now you have to apply online and you have bots reading the damn application. And on that section of the application that says college degree, if you don't have a college degree to put there, your application gets weeded out. And I don't know why we go for that. I don't know why our civil rights struggle dropped the ball on that. Because there was this concept called disparate impact that, at one of those, since the Bakke decision, one of those attacks on quote unquote affirmative action, disparate impact, you only had to prove that the rule had an adverse effect on basically non-white men. And that alone was enough to overturn a rule or practice. But now that doesn't, you can't make disparate impact arguments anymore. So I don't know what we're going to do, but that college degree requirement disparately impacts poorer people, and most poorer people are non-white. So it affects white folks too, but it mostly affects non-whites. And because black folks have been so, like, we get a sense of equality when we get this degree, attacking the system of degrees takes away that rush we get, this fake sense of equality and validation that we have. Even in light of all the data that shows a black man in particular with a degree is not favored over a white man without one. Our cognitive dissonance kicks in, and we just act like we didn't hear that, because we get that feel good rush of having that piece of paper that the government now says doesn't even prove that you are a better worker or better candidate. I caught when I went to my organization, and back in the 80s, broadcast recording engineer was one of the top 2 or 3 highest paid jobs in America. I want to just let you know that. So that was quite an accomplishment to get to that level. Back in the 80s, it was right up there with anesthesiologists. Okay, that's how much money was in that field. So I caught my employer changing the damn job application. They snuck on there college degree required. I had a fucking fit, because I knew that would have a disparate impact on other people like me who did not have a college degree, who had the skill to do it. How did I get the skill? I fucking volunteered. I worked for free. I worked for free at stations. Okay. I was fortunate to come along when cable television started, basically. These cable TV franchises they were not always here. They came about in the 80s. We knew, in high school, we knew that cable television was coming. And cable television was going to take us from the 5 or 6 channels we had, 4, 5, 7, 9, 13 in DC area. That was Baltimore. And channel 20. So we had, small number of stations, and we knew that we were going to go from that small handful of stations to several hundred, to maybe 500 damn channels. And the government knew that we were going to need everything: writers, on air people, equipment operators, and all types of things. Just so many daggone positions. And so you could get a job at every level. Is it Tom Brokaw who doesn't have a college degree? I think it's Tom Brokaw. And so it was common for people to walk into major networks, get behind the mic with no college degree. And so at every level of employment, there were people with no college degree, but these were very smart people. If you look back to how they performed in high school and the like, and what they did in life, after high school, a lot of them started businesses and different things like that. So you're not talking about average at best people. They just didn't have a college degree. A lot of us went to college, but we got hired before we finished, because we were that daggone good, and we were already working in the field. I was working in the field at 16 years old, my first professional job. So by the time I got 18 years old, I had contacts in the industry, and I had experience. And I ran a business in the industry. So I met people. People knew me as a business owner in the business. And so when I became an employee, they knew what I could do. So when I came to knock on the door and answer on my resume, they could see the things that I did. They knew the programs and things that I created. They looked over the fact that I didn't have a college degree. So when I caught my company sliding in there, college degree required, I went off. I went to the head of human resources. I said, what is this crap? I said, this statement right here, and it was a black woman. This was a black woman. I said, this line here, no college degree required. would stop me from working here. And by that time, I had become a leader. Okay, I'd been like in position significant responsibility. So I wasn't an average worker. I was training people on the job, writing policy and stuff like that. Okay, so I was a trendsetter, a very key person, on that job. One, not the only one. One of, I would say about five, definitely about five key players. So that 80-20 rule is real, y'all. It's real. That top 20% is really the ones running the show in the 80s alone. I was in that top 20%. So when I said to her, I wouldn't be able to be here if this requirement was there. And that was a black man talking to a black woman. And I said, what's that about? And they knew I'm not gonna go too far into this, but I'll say they knew that I had a litigious nature. Let me just put it like that. So that requirement disappeared. I got it. They knew to take it off. They took it off, and so I asked her, "Why did you put it there in the first place?" And she said, "You know that job posting we have for the position, in your department." I said, "Yeah." She said, "We got 2,000 applicants." She said, "We can't read 2,000 applications. It's just too much. I can't interview 2,000 people." She said, "So we put college degree on there to just weed the pile down. And that is why most jobs require a college degree." Go ask. Ask people, ask these employers why they do it. Why, to justify the assumption that people without a college degree can't learn to do this job or can't learn to do it as well or better than the people with the college degree. College, having a college degree proves that you can sit for instruction for a long period of time. That's a valuable thing. And that you can read complex material, um, that you can research. So I'm not saying that there aren't skills that 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 having a degree doesn't prove that you have certain skills. Um, I think it does prove that you're a pretty good candidate for someone that can grow in a field that's complex. I think it is, but I don't think that the people who can do that job or grow in that job, that is limited to people with the college degree. I don't think that. I think it's dangerous. Uh, I think it's illegal. We have to pressure our legal community to get behind it and make the argument. I think it has a disparate impact on non-white people. I think that the college degree requirement is a racist, classist filter. I know that that's true, and we have to attack it. But our insecurity makes us keep it up, hold it up. We got a lot of C students, a lot of average at best folks, okay, who were not the A or B student in high school. And they were made to feel inferior. And the college degree validates them. That piece of paper says that all that second class treatment they received in high school was wrong. And that makes them feel good. So they keep this fucked up system going just so they can have that feel good. Because if you take that paper away from them, then they go back to nothing. So it's like a toxic kind of hierarchy we have here in this country, which makes people feel like they're nothing. And so that's just my view of why we arrived at and how we arrived at this point of this college degree. But start doing research about people who criticize college. university scholars that criticize college. Let's keep it at that level. This YouTube is full of those videos. And all the research shows that people don't get that much smarter between, let me say it another way. The hierarchy of who's smart and where people rank in the hierarchy of intelligence doesn't change that radically from age 18 to say 22 or 23. It really doesn't. So I'm not talking about whether you get smarter or not. I'm talking about, do you get smarter than that other person who was smarter than you at 18 in high school? The answer from the research is no, you don't. So you have a lot of people out here who were high performers at a young age. Either they couldn't afford college or they were just resourceful enough that they could teach themselves, because all that discipline and learning on how to self-study, they acquired that skill at a young age, and they didn't need the college curriculum to teach them how to teach themselves. They learned it in high school. Those people go off and start businesses. They don't wait to 22. They get started in life early. And when this college degree thing comes along, it discriminates against them. So now they have no way to really prove that. I mean, we have situations where people have worked in industries for many, many years, and if they leave the industry and come back, they can't get past the college degree requirement. And they have experience in the job that they're applying for. But that college degree requirement and that bot won't let that application get to the person. So now you have to be creative, and you have to, I don't know, go to trade fairs or stuff like that, where you can look people in the eye and talk your way in to a job like before. But anyway, I did not mean to get into that rant, but all of that is really what got me into trading, because it doesn't require a college degree. Either you can trade or you can't. It doesn't matter whether you short, tall, fat, skinny, black, white, none of that. None of that matters. Race don't matter. None of that crap matters. Can you understand this image on this chart? If you can get this money, and there's no limit to how much money you can get if you can just get this skill. So that changed my life. One day I heard Warren Buffett say, he said, I think he said, investing in stocks is the best business in the world. You don't need any employees, and you don't need any inventory. I said, damn, he's right. And that was a key moment. But that seed was planted in my mind when he said that. And then when I went to that 6-figure job, and I met this white guy who was 2 years younger than me, and he seemed to know everything about stocks. I was 22. He was about 19. He was 19. His father worked. He didn't go to college either, by the way. His father worked at a major TV network, everybody would know. And his father taught him how everything works. And so he was working on the job. When I came to this job at 22, he had already been there for like a year. He came straight out of high school because he knew how everything worked, and he knew everyone. His father was well known in the industry. And so I'm like, wow. And so he not only is at the job, experienced in how to do everything, he also was living in a house in DC in the 80s. It was a big thing if you was living in Georgetown. So this guy was 18 years old, living in his own house in Georgetown, when young people, everybody else at 22, 23 trying to get in an apartment. So he skipped the whole living in an apartment thing. He went from living in his mom and daddy's house to buying his own house at 18. And so when he started talking this stock stuff, and I'm looking at his life, and I'm looking at my life, and I'm seeing the impact of race and class in the difference or disparity between him and me. I'm like, whoa, nobody, not only do I not know a damn thing he's talking about with stocks, nobody in my family knows what the hell he's talking about. And that offended my pro-blackness. Okay. I'm sitting up here. I could not say to myself that I was not inferior to him. That pissed me off. I didn't think that I didn't think he was smarter than me. I just knew that he was more exposed, and I did not like that shit. I couldn't. I got real insecure in my feelings. I'm pissed off thinking about it now. I went to Crown Bookstore and I bought a book that said how to read the stock chart. It's like the stock tables used to come in the news. No, he wasn't a technical trader. He was a fundamental trader. So he was talking all about PE ratios, debt to income ratios, quarter over quarter earnings, year over year earnings, growth rates, all of this stuff. And I'm like, wow, he sounded like a genius to me. And he was talking about the stocks that he owned, and he was deep in it. And I'm like, I had no clue. I'd never even been around anybody that talked like that. I didn't even know anybody, nobody black, that even owned the damn stock. So I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So remember, I'm from Southeast DC. That's where I was raised. This guy was raised in Northwest. I'm talking, above Georgetown. That's where the people know about the Gold Coast. I'm sorry, that wouldn't be the Gold. That would be. I'm talking about like Foxhall Road area. American University, and in Chevy Chase and all that. Western Avenue way up there. That kind of money. That kind of money. And I'm from Southeast DC, and I'm like, whoa, you got a long. I'm saying to myself, it's a long way to go from where you are, where I was at that time, to where he is. And this guy was more than 2 years younger. I was 22, he was 19, so it's probably about 2.5 years. And I did not like that shit. So I said, I got to do something about this, because now it's personal. I'm looking at the issues of race and class staring me right in the face. If I can't get to his level of understanding, then the rest of all this stuff I'm talking about, this pro-blackness and all this stuff, is some bullshit. This is what it is. This is capitalism straight up. This guy didn't have no college degree. He got it because his daddy taught him. So now that's nepotism. So now we trying to overcome nepotism with affirmative action. That's tough. He's sitting there doing the same job as other people in there that had a college degree. And he got it just because his daddy taught him. So I started learning right there. And because he was in the fundamental analysis and I was impressed with his knowledge, that's the way I went. Until I learned later that that's bullshit. That's bullshit. But I did not mean to do this rant like this, because I got a chart I got to get to. But technical analysis can set you free. The revolution is economic. We got to deal with capitalism. And that's for my Pan-African pro-black folks. We ain't got time to be walking around here anti-capitalist. That's bullshit. Because it doesn't matter what system, economic system we are under, we're going to have to master it. And if you can't master one of them, you can't master none of them. So we might as well master this one. There's no way we're going to have any power if we don't get some power, some economic power. And trading is better than it's more powerful than just having a good job. Because when you just have a good job, your safety is dependent on how somebody else feels about you. You have to buck dance. You die if they don't like you. You want to be free? Conquer capitalism. And the stock market, that's ground zero capitalism. It's straight capitalism. Straight the hell up. So we got to change our priorities and learn how that works. But I don't have to preach to y'all on that because y'all are getting it. Remember, I'm closer to 60 than I am 55. So a lot of you, your parents didn't get it. But y'all younger, 40 and under, y'all got it. Y'all got it. We are on our way. I am optimistic about the future because y'all have all this educated lame talk and all of that. Imagine how lame I was considered dealing with these stocks in the 80s. I had nobody to talk to about this. But now it's become cool. And younger people are doing it. Man, I just want to be around 20 years from now. I don't want to die and not see the impact of trading and trading with knowledge gained in the information age, how that revolutionizes the world and the race and race relations and all of it. I think it will. I think this is going to do it. I think this is going to do it. People are not going to have to work. If you get this, you're not going to have to work until you're 65. You know, you might get a job, 18 to 22, might get a job, might work, 20 years, 10, 20 years, and you out. If you do this, if you learn the trade, that's enough. If we start giving young people this kind of game, say from around 13 or 14 years old, get them into this. By the time they're 18, they really going to know something. They've seen a bit of an economic cycle from 13 or 14 to 18. And now they know that the stuff they're reading or you've shown them is valid. And then from 18 to 40, they can catch a whole cycle. And then when babies are born, we'll start giving money. We'll start passing the hat, collecting anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 and start investing when that child is born. So that by 18, he's no longer part of the labor class. Now he's going to school to learn how to manage an empire. He's not going to school to get a damn job. But I ran it too much. But a lot of that stuff that I'm talking right now, there's no place for me on the internet. And not even in black spaces on that. Because we ain't there. We ain't there. We want our validation, justification paper called a college degree. You better fall in love with education, whether it results in a degree or not. And I can't get Negroes to see that. They think I'm against education. They think that degree and education are synonyms. They are not. We got dumb motherfuckers out here that can barely read and they have college degrees. Y'all don't hear this? Y'all don't see this? We got people with college degrees that can't even think rationally, can't reason, can't make proper deductive reasoning. Wow. Capitalism dumbed the degree system down. We got people that get passed from grade to grade because they too big for the fucking chair. Not because they did the work. We get parents come up and argue. You can't hold them back. He gonna be too old. He gonna be distant from his group. We got NFL players. We had back in even my day, Dexter Manley learned to read. Dexter Manley, defensive end for the Washington football team. He should have been in the Hall of Fame long ago. He was that fucking awesome. And I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and that dude was awesome, but he was illiterate. He learned to read as an adult after he got out of the damn NFL. And that man went to college. And we say that system is valid. That's the same system that gives you your degree. There's some disruptive capitalistic forces that have taken control of even the education system. The teacher is judged based on how many students pass. That's problematic. So the teachers figured out they're not going to let the pass-fail rate affect their mortgage. So they passed the motherfucker. I don't think it's fair to judge the teacher based on that. They know that damn kid couldn't read when he got in the class. He's in the 10th grade, and now the teacher's supposed to be a miracle worker. And he got pushed, and then even at the college level, we pushed these people into college who could barely get out of high school. And so now the university professor is going to be judged based on how many people they pass. And the system has got some serious problems. But the banks are making money, issuing government secured loans to people who are too eager to be in debt bondage just to have a piece of paper because it makes them feel good. We got to break this cycle. We can't do it. Why? Why can't we break this cycle? Because we got too many fucking teachers out here that's holding the system up too. Too many black folks, too many black scholars, too many. Come on. We got people going to be teachers because they can't get no fucking job. Okay, so you're a teacher, you're selling the dream to other people to go get a damn degree that you couldn't even capitalize on. This shit is sick. I think we need to change our values, and we need to love education, damn the degree. And we need to push America to function the way that the IT industry does. You can get a degree in the IT industry. You can also get a certification. You can get a job with a certification. You don't need a degree. Now, those certifications are not easy. And even when you get the certification, at some point, you're going to have to perform on that job. They're going to fire your ass. You're not going to get off probation. So you're going to learn it some kind of way. You're going to struggle with it some kind of way, or you're going to get fired. They're not going to keep you around just because you pass a certification, and then you can't do the work. And they don't have a separate performance requirement for people with degrees versus people with certifications. Once you get that job, you have the same job title as the other people with a degree. That's the way it should work. That IT industry is the model, but I bet you'll never get Negroes to destroy that college degree requirement thing because they'd have to give up that feel good. That certification allows us to benefit from that nepotism that white guy on my job received from his father that taught him how shit works. And it resulted in him getting a job. And that right there is the way America has always worked, even from coming out of slavery when they set up unions to because white men couldn't compete with the slave because the enslaved African had all the damn jobs. Therefore, he had all the skills. So being the best person for the job has never worked in America because no one was more qualified than a damn slave. But our nigga mind wants to keep validating this fake ass meritocracy. We won't put it together. So they and I'm pro-union. I led a union movement. White men taught the skill from father to son, established unions and the Klan, okay, to keep those jobs passed down to them. If we so wanted to be equal, we saw little Johnny, little master Johnny was going to college. We were in slavery, and the enslaved master and his son, little master Johnny was getting educated. So we put it in our mind that is what we should do. Little Johnny Master was going to get educated so that he could take over a business. He wasn't going to get educated so he can go get a job. We got it wrong. The standard exists to affirm them. With all of that said, we can't get confused with my assessment and criticism of how the system is disparate in its treatment and impact and results. We can't let none of that confuse us over the value of an education, but we must not conclude that a degree equals an education and that an education only happens in college. It is not valid if it doesn't happen in college. I don't give a fuck if you get it in a trade school. I don't care if you use your free library card and go get a book off the shelf and read it. At the end of the day, everyone should take a test, whether they went to college, whether they studied under their father, whether they went and taught themselves. At the end of the day, there should be a standard test that everyone is given. And if you pass it, you are equal to others who passed it, period. And all that shit about how you came to pass it has to end. It shouldn't matter whether you studied on your own, went to Howard, or went to Harvard. But we caught up in this fake ass validation of these degrees and degrees from certain schools and all this stuff to kind of make us feel good, absolve us of our insecurity. We won't let we won't slay this system because we're the ones propping it up. We're the ones propping it up. Yeah. Yes, we do. We need more union jobs and trade jobs, black-owned companies. That's right. That's right. And it tricked us into getting, let's say, $8, maybe fantastic 824. Just wanted to let you know that this is the best thing I've heard since I've been back. All right, brother. But you've been back. I've been kind of. I'm not really active that much in the manosphere. I peek in sometime, but I'm deep in these charts. This isn't the rant, bro. This is much needed power. All right, bless you, brother. Bless you, brother. We're gonna be hooking up. We're gonna be on them charts and get you in the game because it's some serious opportunities out here in these markets. This is the best time to be learning this. And listen, y'all, it ain't all about Bitcoin. There's so many daggone things. We're in a boom and bust cycle. All kinds of stuff is just stuff coming out the mud and stuff from the heights got to fall. And it's all of that's opportunity both ways. I think the people that are doing these stock channels and stuff, if they not rich, they're going in the next, let's say 2 or 3 years, they're gonna be rich. Because you don't really need to catch but 1 or 2 cycles and you done. I mean, you in a whole nother space. You are financially independent. You in a whole nother space. And so I'm saying that's what we have to do. We have to do that. These jobs that don't require college degrees, we need to reframe our civil rights objectives to eliminate that uh, college degree because it's functioning as a race and class filter. You know, just like the damn stupid questions they used to ask back in the day, you had to answer certain questions to prove that you were literate enough to vote. Okay, that kind of shit. A college degree is um, functioning the same way. It's not producing a better worker. And the person and the candidate with a degree is not necessarily better than the candidate without one. And I say we need to require that people just test for it. And how do you know that a degree from one university is equal to a degree from another university? U.S. News and World Report. I mean, racism is going to affect all of it. It does. Our brain is put, and I say our, I mean Americans, humans. I'm not talking black folks. I mean, I'm not excluding black folks either. But I'm saying we think that white is better. Whites think white is better, and blacks think white is better. U.S. News and World Report has been doing evaluations of the best colleges and universities all of my adult life at least. And Howard University has scored pretty high on it all of my adult life. I think Hampton is scored well historically, and Spelman. Yet Negroes will go to an inferior white school thinking that they're getting a better education. Even the white folks will tell them if they look at the damn comparisons that your education at some of these black colleges is better than the education you're getting at most of these white colleges. And that's in the opinion of white folks. But to the Negro mind, it's that Howard is inferior. You better check the damn U.S. News and World Report and see where Howard is ranked. And look at all those white schools below that. And all of those black folks could have and should have been going to a HBCU. Yeah, Morehouse. Yeah, I'm discouraged about what they had. Some recent stuff I'm hearing about Morehouse. But let me just say this: back in the day, I'm talking about like the 80s and early 90s. I had an assignment from my job on the campus of Morehouse, right across. I don't even want to say. I guess you can call it a street, but it's like a street within the campus complex. Spelman is right across that street. So although it's all males, they pretty much share a common yard. So they seeing them girls all the time, and those girls seeing them guys all the time. Anyway, so I'm up there, and I went to Howard, but I'm telling you, in terms of maybe it's the Southern culture or whatever, those were the most serious students back at that time. I can't speak for now. Those are the most serious college students I've ever seen in my life. I felt us pride being there. And that's the level of seriousness they had. Howard couldn't compare to that. That's what it was like then. It was please and thank you, yes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. And I mean, more than one would stop us and ask us if we needed help. Where you going? And can I help you, sir? Let me take you there. And I mean, it's just random people stopping to be. I'm like, oh, I don't see this. Maybe that's Southern culture. And so this like respect for older people, and even at that, you got to remember, I wasn't. I'm talking like 80s, 90s, so I was probably 30. I wasn't that old, but I could tell there was just an intensity about learning that they had, that it was a different thing. Now I don't know if that's still what it is now, because I hear so many bad things about Atlanta and the way the culture has changed since then. But it was different. And let's see, Morehouse. Back in the day, there was a swag about being a Morehouse man. Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, they made me wish I had gone to Morehouse. They really did. I mean, sidebar, but a real good friend of mine in high school who's like a year older. We were going to go. He was going to Morehouse, and we were going to like go to the same college. So that meant that I was going to go where he went, and he did not go to Morehouse. His mother, y'all know how we be on the mamas. The mama wouldn't let him go because that was during the time of the Atlanta child murders. Wayne Williams or whatever, whatever his name was, Wayne, the child murder. So his mother didn't let him go, so he went to Howard. And so me growing up in DC, so I just went to the local school, which was Howard. But we talked about going to Morehouse, and Spike Lee was at Morehouse. A lot of it was just like a thing at that time. Go to Atlanta, and I mean, but Howard was fine. I had no problem. I met great people there. It's you go to Howard, you go any black country. Some people that have been to Howard. Okay, so it's a hell of a networking thing, to be a part of that. So I'm proud of that, and the teachers, they care about you like your family does, and but like I said, we think that white school is better, even when U.S. News and World Report will tell you most of them are not. So anyway, but I'm gonna shut this down. Um, Hopefully, 3 more people will listen to the beginning of this when I was talking about the charts. When I got off the rail and ran it, because that money things, it gets into everything else, But all this talk about social equity and moving forward and all of that, you got to deal with that capitalism first, And I told, why I say this one more bit, then I'm gonna get out of here. A light bulb went off at some point in my back in the 80s. We talked about the pro-black movement was really called Afrocentricity, and so we talked a lot about the socialization we received in America, and what we talked about cultures and how cultures see the world. People are different based on their worldview that comes from their culture. And so we talked about American culture, which is basically white Euro-American culture and worldview. So the way that they see the world is the way that American citizens are biased to see the world. And so we talked about, Asian cultures, how they're different, the ways that they're different, and African culture in general, the way that the traditional African culture see things versus the ones that are more assimilated. Okay, so that's the way that's what we were dealing with in the 80s. But at some point, so I'm going to college and I'm taking sociology and philosophy and all of this stuff, and it started to come together because I had to make that journey out of the mindset that the cause of discrimination is that they don't like us, white folks don't like us. We got to get that out of it. It's just straight money. Slavery was not a result of white people don't like black people. No, they didn't do it out of no hate. They did it out of commerce, profit, free labor, period. That's it, cold-blooded. Ain't got nothing to do with no hatred. It's got to do with cheap labor. And in capitalism, you're always trying to find some class of people you can exploit. When you run out of people in your own country, you go other places in the world. You go for made in China, made in Japan, made in Taiwan, made in Singapore, all of it, because at some point in time, all of those were the sources of cheap labor. Okay, then we can mark it up and make a profit off of it. And America has inherent conflict of interest between the rights and needs of the people versus I'm gonna take it all the way to the tax code at the IRS. The IRS, by law, if you are a profit making business, if you're not a nonprofit, let me put it that way. If you're not a nonprofit, by law, you must pursue profit. By law, you must pursue profit. The stockholders are you work for the stockholders. The job of that business is to make a profit for the stockholders. If there are no stockholders, then it's a sole proprietorship, but it's all profit driven and it's required by law. So now that takes it out of the realm of personal values and all that. Black folks get messed up when they start a business and then trying to run that shit like a charity. Now you got to make up your mind right in the beginning. Are you running a profit making business or are you running a damn charity? Because the law says you got to pursue profit. If it's a profit-making business, you can't try to combine the two. There is no recognition of that under the law. You are in violation of the law. So the major corporations are doing what they're required to do when they take your job to another country and give it to some other people and import the product that they make in that other country. Because that's what maximizes profit. So the fact that people need jobs, that's not the government's primary obligation to satisfy that need of the people to have jobs. So that is an inherent conflict of interest of our democracy with capitalism. They're not in agreement right there. And China exploited the hell out of it. They pimped it to the max. Sam Walton of Sam's Club and Walmart. Okay? Sam Walton. When he started Walmart and put all that stuff in there made from China that he got at a lower price that nobody in America could ever, no product manufacturer in America could compete with, because the Chinese are paying their workers next to nothing, and we got a minimum wage and a certain standard of living here. China knew that the American corporations were not. China made American business, American corporations, an offer they could not refuse. High profit margin. They can't refuse it. There goes our jobs. So we always gonna have an unemployment problem. We always gonna have pressure to make the wages low. You know, wasn't no Mexicans sneaking in here. We let them in. Why? They're cheaper. That's it. Capitalism war, we can't run from it. I'm not excusing none of the sins of capitalism. I'm saying, but we better understand it and learn how to work it. And the best way to learn is as a trader. Because that company that won't hire you, you can profit from the appreciation of their stock. You do it long enough, do it well, you can succeed out of the labor class. Okay, there you go. Right. So yeah, you can make enough money where you don't even you become unemployable. Okay, you make too much, you can sustain yourself. And as Black men, we definitely have to be on this path promoting mastering capitalism at this level. And the beautiful thing about these markets is you can have a basic job. I don't care if you're just making 50,000, from a basic level. It's going to take you a little longer to get there, but you can get there. You can go from a basic job and scale up your investments in trading, and you can get to financial independence. You don't have to get a promotion. You don't have to. I'm not saying don't get a promotion, but you don't have to. You don't have to go get another job or a better job. What you have to do is learn how to fucking invest and trade. That's what you got to learn. That's more important because that's under your control. That doesn't depend on somebody liking you. That doesn't depend on someone else establishing your wage level. But they got us all mixed up. We're just still trying to be a better slave, a higher paid slave, you know. But I'm out here, y'all. I keep saying that, but I'm gone for real. Let me find this off button. Peace.